Welcome or welcome back on WatchAdvisor on YouTube. It's Alexander speaking, your host for another hands-on video. And in the picture you see three novelties that have been presented this year from Jaeger LeCoultre. It's the Master Control Memovox, the Master Control Calendar, and the Master Control Chronograph Calendar watch. I will show you some details of the watches and present you them one by one.
Don't forget to subscribe and to hit the bell to get our latest notifications.
If you do so, you have the chance to win the brand new iPhone 12 Pro. The happy winner will be announced in the community section tab January 2021. Good luck! The first one I will present you in details is the Master Control Calendar Watch of Jaeger LeCoultre. So it's a 40mm case. The diameter is 40 millimeters. The thickness of the watch is 10.95 millimeters, 10.95 millimeters. And what you always want to know is the so-called lug-to-lug distance. So the distance from one lug to the other lug is 47 millimeters, 47 millimeters. As nomen est omen of the watch, Master Control Calendar, we do have a watch showing you, of course, some indications about the day, the month, the moon, and the running seconds, and of course here we do have the date. And let me start. So here we have the indication of the weekday. This indicates the month. So in the two windows you have weekday and month. We do have the moon phase indicated here, a position of 6 o'clock, and the date that starts, you see the hand here, with the Jaeger LeCoultre logo as the red dot to give you the exact information where you are. And what is pretty particular on the watch is, as we already had it in the presentation I did when the watches were launched, that the date hand, once it arrived at 15, it will jump and continue to show the 16th here. So it's kind of a jumping calendar function if you want, and I will show you this. You have a little push piece integrated on the case on the side. You can now watch closely. The hand will move all the way from 15 to the 16th, and there it is. So when arriving at the 15th, the middle of the month, it will jump to go continue, show the date at the 16th. And this is a very nice feature the watch has because if the date information would be all over the 360 degrees of the dial, then okay, the readability probably would have been a little bit better, but the disadvantage would have been that on certain dates, the hand would have covered the moon phase and the running second, and I think this is something we don't want. The watch is powered by the automatic movement 866 from Jaeger LeCoultre. There it is. So you see a perfectly decorated movement with an oscillating weight made in gold. So I'm turning it and you can see it now. We are able to see the balance wheel and some of the decorations being applied by Jaeger LeCoultre on the surface of the movement. So it's really a completely decorated movement. No parts have been left not being decorated. So to manipulate the watch, this is also something I have to show you. You have various buttons integrated in the case. So this was the one I've been manipulating the date hand. With this one, we are manipulating the month here. Then there is another one here, and this one serves to manipulate the moon phase indication. To make it clear also, this is not a perpetual calendar, not an annual calendar, so the indications will always be correct until end of the month. Depending if the month has 30 or 31 days, you will have to make the adjustment by hand. And of course, you will also have to readjust some of the indications, of course, in February, depending on 28 or 29 days February, of course, and to readjust them to come to the first. Yep, one little thing that will, or that applies now on all the watches I'm showing you, that beautiful new bracelet has an easy release function. You see here, this is an easy release function. So you don't need any tooling. And you don't, with the gloves, it's a little bit difficult to show you because once I try to open up, I will cover your picture, but what I will do is I will use the pin and show you what I'm doing. This is moving, you see, and I can slide out very easily. Same applies here, and slide out. So what does this tell us? So if you want to change the straps, you can easily do that. You don't need any tooling. And it is also pretty easy to slide in again. There you go. And you see, it's in again. No doubt I'm pulling, it's in there. Very easy, very comfortable. The Master Control Calendar. So in case you want to upgrade from a calendar watch to a calendar with a chronograph, I show you now one of my favorite watches of the year 2020. When I saw the watch the first time, of course, just in a picture, I literally fell in love with it. And reading through all your comments that have been posted since I showed the watches, I have to say this seems to be one of the watches that is, yes, ranking among the most beautifulest presented in 2020. So we are talking about the chronograph with calendar functions and a moon phase indication. The case has a diameter of 40 millimeters, once again 40 millimeters. The thickness of the case is 12.05 millimeters, 12.05 millimeters, and as with the calendar, the simple or the normal calendar watch, the lug-to-lug distance is 47 millimeters. So it's a watch that is really perfectly fitting on a wrist. And for a chronograph with a calendar function, it's quite a thin watch. It's not a thick watch as we used to have them for many years now. So once again, you have a calendar function showing you the date and the month, two windows, position 12 o'clock. You have the moon phase indication. You have the date being integrated in the moon phase indication. You have a running second and a 30-minute counter. That's the 30-minute count, and these are the running seconds of the watch. The chronograph is running, so you see the hand is turning. What else is to see on the dial? You have a pulsometer scale. Base is 30 pulsations, so you take a measurement of 30 pulsations on the wrist and then you can read out the actual pulse of the person. So that's a nice thing. Good to have a pulsometer scale and not a tachymeter scale, because I'm always wondering what are people doing with a tachymeter scale. I am not really sure. Pulsometer is much finer. You can use it at least, or you can feel the pulse of someone near to you and tell him, hey, calm down a little bit, your pulse seems to be pretty high. We have a start-stop function, of course. It's a column wheel chronograph, 65 hours of power reserve, so pretty good if you are planning to probably not use the chronograph during your weekend or whatsoever, to use a sport watch instead. Start-stop function. This is not a flyback chronograph. So if I am applying the reset button, actually now the reset button, nothing happens, as you can see. It's a start, stop, and now if I push here, we will have the reset. Watch carefully. So the 30-minute counter and the main second half return to zero, perfectly aligned, of course. And what is always good to mention with a chronograph that is fully manufactured, integrated, and has been conceived as a chronograph and is not in a module construction or something, is that beautiful haptic you have when you push the start-stop button. There is one exact defined point. You push and you feel it, and then the chronograph starts. It's not that you are putting your fingertip on the start-stop button here, and then you have to say, okay, where is that point? There is one defined point. There's nothing, or there's a slow pressure you feel, but then the point is there, and then you can feel it, and that's the typical feeling when you're dealing with a column wheel chronograph. Talking about column wheel chronograph, it's the caliber 759. 759, already told you. 65 hours of power reserve. Let me turn it around. you see with the logo shape of Jaeger LeCoultre, this is the oscillating weight in gold. Very nice. It's open work, so you can really, it's not covering the nicely decorated surfaces of the movement. It's 28,800, so 4 Hertz. So what you will see on the other side is 1/8 of a second. It's a 4 Hertz chronograph. 28,800, the oscillating weight. And I will turn the watch around quickly so we can clearly also see the column wheel. So this is the column wheel here, and I will start, stop, and then you can clearly see it's operating, and it is through the column wheel that the little nose that is either on one of the columns or in between the columns gets the information and is starting and stopping the central chronograph wheel. From this side you see perfectly aligned the start-stop button, the crown, and the reset button they are perfectly aligned, of course. It's not a modular chrono, so we have a perfectly aligned setting here. Once again, also, I just showed it, I will not do it again. We have the same easy release button, so you don't need any tooling. So the only thing is you slide it to the side, then it will open up. You can just release the strap and you can fit another one that comes from Jaeger, and you can change colors, for instance. If you're not too much into this new cognac color they have been introducing with the watches. I've been reading some comments, people didn't like the color, so there are many others available, and I could imagine to wear the watch in with a gray, or gray, black, blue, many possibilities. So, nicely looking, the Master Control Chronograph Calendar 2020, one of my favorite watches I've seen so far. So now probably the highlight for some of you, this is the Master Control Memovox belonging to that series of new watches. The manufacturer in the Vallée de Joux has been presented. So it's an alarm clock, mechanical alarm clock, wonderful timepiece with lots of tradition with the manufacturer. First time being presented in the 1950s and until today one of the best sellers, and I would say one of the most iconic watches of the manufacturer. 40 millimeters case. The same, and the thickness of the case is 12.39 millimeters, and the lug-to-lug distance also with this piece 47 millimeters lug-to-lug distance. That's probably the distance you are looking for, because it might give you an indication if the watch fits on your wrist or not. Let me quickly explain you the dial. You have a date indication, date window showing the 21st. You have a central second, you have the minutes and the hours, and you have that little arrow pointing at 12 o'clock. And this is a rotating disc on the dial you use to set the alarm. So if you are really precisely looking at the watch from above, so you don't have an angle distortion, I do have a similar watch. I own a similar watch. You can really set the alarm to 10 minutes precision. It's easy to do that. So it is giving you a pretty nice sound. Let me maybe first already give you some indications about the crowns. This crown is used to set the time and to wind the watch, the mechanism, just in case you need. It's an automatic movement, of course, but just in case you need. So pulling out the crown, you can set the time and you wind the watch. This crown is to wind the alarm barrel, so the barrel that delivers the energy to the hammer that will now then deliver the sound to us. And if you pull out the crown in one direction you're changing the date, and in the other direction you are rotating the disc, and you are setting the alarm time. And this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I made it. So, and then as I just said, you see, I'm now rotating the disc. You can clearly see this is for starting the alarm, and if I go counterclockwise, the other sense, you are changing the date, so it's for changing the date. I will stop the date change movements, but I will now go here, and now please listen. It's an alarm you hear on the one hand side, and what I wanted to say is also clearly you feel it. So the watch literally is, it's vibrating on your wrist, now in my fingers, but if you have the watch on your wrist, it will give you a very haptical indication, and it's almost impossible not to either feel or hear the watch. Hearing might be difficult if you are in a surrounding where you have lots of noise, because the alarm, okay, it's an alarm watch, but it's not an alarm mega blaster something. It's an alarm watch, but you are feeling it clearly. And if you are in a surrounding as we are now, where we have normal noise levels out there, you clearly also hear it. So I will show you now the watch from behind. This is the winding rotor with the nice Jaeger LeCoultre logo in gold. And I need to turn the watch around to show you the hammer. This is the hammer. So, alarm watch, very nice one. We could call this maybe the first smartwatch that was ever produced by a watchmaker, because there was also a version that was called parking at the time being. And this was probably really the very first smartwatch that existed, because it was really reminding you of the park time you have been using, and either you should have inserted a new coin or change on a parkometer the time indicated, so that you could leave your car at the place where it is. There we go. So once again, all the free watches in the picture. Thanks for watching that presentation of the Master Control Watches 2020 of Jaeger LeCoultre. Your comments are welcome, answering all your questions as always. Thanks for watching, and see you soon on WatchAdvisor on YouTube.